Hello everyone. Now before we get started, I want to give a quick announcement. I was originally planning on making a full Let's Play on Persona 5. However, I have since decided to cancel that idea, and I made that decision because I felt like it would take too long to get full coverage on it that way. Persona 5 has many goodies that take a long time to unlock. I'm also going to make my review be spoiler free. I've taken this route just in case anyone wants to play the game for themselves. Also, as I was playing the game, I've come to realize that it's best to not just take advice, but to also have your own strategy for succeeding. It's always best to have a good plan for when you want to go crush your foes. Now, one last thing. If anyone wants to know about the difference between this game's fusion system and the one from Persona 4, I have provided some side notes explaining that in the description below. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get started! RPGs, aka role-playing games, are a popular video game genre. I first heard about them from my friends who really liked them, specifically the turn-based ones. However, unlike my friends, I did not know much about them, aside from some games like Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, and FF6 that use the turn-based style to great effect. Also, unlike my friends, unfortunately I did not like those kinds of games, and that's mainly because I disliked the turn-based gameplay style. At that time, I was more into action games and ones with an open world setting. However, fast forward to 2013, I matured a bit and started trying out other games. I then decided to give RPGs a shot and eventually found out about the Persona games. Now, unlike some other people who started playing the earlier games first, I was a stubborn bat and started with Persona 5 first. I did this because it looked cool and because it was the newest Persona game out. Anyway, enough about that. Let's sink our fangs right in! In this game, you play as a character called the Trickster, who is part of a freelance group called the Phantom Thieves. And, just like in most RPGs, you can change the name of the protagonist and the group that he's part of. Anyway, this group saves the world through battling against demons and other baddies called shadows, all of which who own a palace. They fight against them as well as steal their treasure. These guys are awesome and they know it. This game's story is very deep and satisfying. There's a lot to enjoy with its amazing visuals that are all accompanied by an interesting cast of characters who all have their own personality and their own persona. As you play through the game, you make friends with two types of characters: allies that aid you in battle, and the non-battle side characters called confidants that you meet throughout the game's RPG hub world. As you spend time with each of the characters, you rank up their levels as well as bond with them and learn more about them. As you rank each of them up, you gain benefits that add greatly to the game and help you progress even further in it. I won't spoil too much of the story, but I will say that it's all handled well and it's well worth checking out. While the story is quite impressive, the gameplay is a main attraction. Persona 5 highly succeeds at giving players good, yet challenging gameplay that ties heavily into the story. The focus of the gameplay is turn-based combat, which adds a good amount of strategy to the action. The gameplay is likely to satisfy old fans, as well as help draw in some new ones. It does that through adding a few new options during combat, such as robbing demons or forcing them to join your side. This game also has unique ideas that separate it from other RPGs. Those ideas are socializing and dating. Both of these are staples of the previous games and they are very well executed here. For more information about ranking up, see the links in the description. Anyway, as you play through the game, you will be ranking up your stats. You will also be doing the same to the demons that you acquire, your confidants, and your party members. As you rank them up, you will get more benefits that help you, especially in combat. The more you play, the more you get. Grinding is also part of the equation, and it makes unlocking the goodies feel very time-consuming. With all that in mind, you don't just play Persona 5, you live it. Even though the game succeeds with its RPG anime fanfare, it's not without its flaws. I will discuss those said flaws now. One such issue is a minor one, and that is the annoying time sections. You encounter these after you and your friends infiltrate a Shadow's palace. You will then have to steal the heart/treasure from that Shadow boss within a certain amount of days. I know that these time sections make sense from a story perspective, however they come off as kinda bothersome, especially since you have to deal with them throughout the game. Personally, I hate time limits, but I'm willing to look past this issue, and that's mainly because it's manageable, especially since you later get upgrades that allow you to spend more time throughout the day. Another minor issue is that the game will exhaust the player too much when they do certain things in the hub world. However, there are upgrades that you will eventually get that help lessen this aspect. Now, the next issue is kind of a big one. In some areas, there's hardly any save points to be found, an example of which is in the Mementos dungeon. This aspect presents a challenge, but it makes things a lot harder than it needs to be, especially since you can't stay on a certain floor for too long. If you do, the Grim Reaper will show up. He's cool and all, yet he's hard as nails and you can't run away from him if he catches you. Despite that aspect though, there definitely should have been more save points in places like this. Another issue involves the Persona fusion system. I would explain it, however it kind of has a long explanation. As a result, I placed that explanation in the video description below. Now, despite this game's flaws, they don't hinder the game too much. Persona 5 is quite enjoyable in the gameplay department. Well, what more can I say? The visuals are simply amazing. They really make you feel like you're watching an anime. It has an edgy, distinct art style that really blends in with its sound and unique music. In conclusion, Persona 5 is a good game despite having some issues. It's likely to impress old fans, but its issues might bother some new players. Overall, I give Persona 5 an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's best to rent the game first before deciding if it's right for you. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and stay batty, my friends.